Ambassador Lisa Morgan pressed her face against the cold metal of the viewing window. Stars moved slowly past as the ship traveled through space. She had dreamed of this moment for 20 years. Earth was finally going to join the Galactic Council. After decades of trying, humans would have a voice among the stars. The diplomatic ship Starbridge was beautiful. It gleamed white and silver in the starlight. Earth had built it specially for this mission. Every surface was polished. Every system worked perfectly. The humans wanted to make a good first impression. Lisa turned away from the window and walked down the hallway. Her shoes clicked softly on the metal floor. She wore her best uniform with Earth's flag on the shoulder. The blue and green colors reminded her of home. Colonel Jake Sullivan stood in the main meeting room. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had fought in 3 wars on Earth. Now he was here to advise on military matters. He looked worried as he studied the star charts on the wall. "Any problems, Jake?" Lisa asked. "Maybe," Jake said. "Our escort ships are reporting strange readings. There might be another vessel nearby." Dr. Amy Carter looked up from her research tablet. She was young for a scientist, only 35, but she knew more about alien life than anyone on Earth. Her job was to help humans understand the different species in the galaxy. "What kind of vessel?" Amy asked. "Unknown," Jake replied. "It's big, much bigger than our ships." Lisa felt her stomach tighten. This was supposed to be a peaceful mission. They were traveling through neutral space. No one should bother them here. The communication system crackled to life. Captain Bill Hayes spoke from the bridge. His voice sounded tense. "Ambassador Morgan, please come to the bridge. We have a situation." Lisa, Jake, and Amy hurried to the front of the ship. The bridge was small but filled with the most advanced technology Earth could build. Captain Hayes stood at the center looking at the main screen. "Show me," Lisa said. The screen lit up with an image that made Lisa's blood run cold. A massive warship hung in space ahead of them. It was dark red and black with sharp edges like teeth. Strange symbols covered its hull. The ship was at least 10 times larger than the Starbridge. "It appeared 5 minutes ago," Captain Hayes said. "No. Warning. It just dropped out of hyperspace right in front of us." "Have they tried to communicate?" Lisa asked. "Yes. And you're not going to like what they said." The screen changed. A face appeared that made Amy gasp. It was reptilian with yellow eyes and sharp teeth. Scales covered its skin. When it spoke, its voice was deep and full of hatred. "Human vessel, I am Captain Zethkar of the Vexhai Empire. You travel in space that belongs to superior beings. Your kind has no right to be here." Lisa stepped forward. "This is Ambassador Lisa Morgan of Earth. We are on a diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council. We have safe passage documents." The alien captain laughed. It was a horrible sound. "Safe passage? From whom? The Council does not recognize primitive mammals as worthy of protection." Jake moved closer to Lisa. His hand rested on his weapon. "Ambassador, I don't like this." On the screen, Captain Zethkar continued speaking. "Your species disgusts me. You think you can join the Council? You think you deserve to sit with your betters? I will show you what the galaxy thinks of humans." The communication ended. The alien ship began to move. "Captain Hayes, get us out of here," Lisa ordered. "I'm trying, but they're jamming our engines. We can't jump to hyperspace." Amy was checking her tablet. "Lisa, the Vexhai are known for being aggressive. They believe reptilian species are superior to all others. They especially hate mammals." Jake was talking into his radio. "Escort ships prepare for combat. Defensive positions only. Do not fire unless fired upon." Through the viewing window, Lisa could see their escort ships. The Earth vessels Arrow and Defender moved to protect the Starbridge. They were good ships with brave crews, but they looked tiny next to the alien warship. "Incoming transmission," Captain Hayes said. Captain Zethkar appeared on screen again. His yellow eyes seemed to glow with pleasure. "Watch carefully, humans. This is what happens to mammals who forget their place." The alien ship fired. Beams of red energy shot across space. The escort ship Arrow exploded in a ball of fire and metal. 100 human souls died in an instant. Lisa screamed. Amy covered her mouth with her hands. Jake cursed and reached for the weapons controls. "Don't," Captain Hayes said. "We can't fight that thing." The alien ship fired again. The defender tried to escape, but the red beams caught it. The ship broke apart slowly. Pieces of metal drifted through space. Another 100 humans were gone. Lisa fell into a chair. 200 people were dead. Good people who had volunteered for this mission. They had families back on Earth. Children who would never see their parents again. Captain Zethkar spoke once more. "This was a navigation error, humans. Perhaps your primitive sensors will record it correctly. Return to your little blue world. The galaxy has no place for your kind." The alien ship turned and disappeared into hyperspace. It left behind only wreckage and the memory of its cruelty. The bridge was silent except for the quiet beeping of instruments. Lisa stared at the floating debris that had once been ships full of her friends. Jake stood with his fists clenched. Amy was crying. "Captain Hayes," Lisa said quietly, "set course for the Galactic Council. We're going to finish this mission." "Are you sure, Ambassador?" Lisa looked at the stars where the alien ship had been. Those people died believing in peace. The least we can do is try to find justice for them. But deep in her heart, Lisa wondered if justice was possible. The alien had called the attack a navigation error. Would the Galactic Council believe such an obvious lie? Would they care that humans had died? As the star bridge continued toward its destination, Lisa made a silent promise to the dead. Their sacrifice would not be forgotten. One way or another, there would be consequences for what happened here. The Galactic Council chambers were unlike anything Lisa Morgan had ever seen. The massive dome stretched high above her head, filled with floating platforms where different alien species sat. Some looked like crystals that sang when they spoke. Others were clouds of gas that changed colors. In the center of it all sat Speaker Thysandra, an ancient being made of pure energy. Lisa stood on the human platform with Jake and Amy beside her. They looked very small in this place. Around them, dozens of alien species watched with curious eyes. Some seemed friendly. Others looked at the humans like they were insects. "The human delegation may present their case," Speaker Thysandra said. Her voice echoed through the chamber like music. Lisa stepped forward. She had practiced this speech many times, but now her mouth felt dry. In her hands, she held the evidence of the attack. Video recordings, sensor data, the names of the 200 people who died. "Honored Speaker and members of the Council," Lisa began. 3 days ago, our diplomatic mission was attacked without warning. Captain Zethkar of the Vexhai Empire destroyed 2 of our escort ships. 200 humans died in what he called a navigation error. She activated the recording. The main screen showed the attack, the red energy beams, the explosions, the floating wreckage. Several alien delegates made sounds of surprise. "This was not an accident," Lisa continued. "Captain Zethkar told us that humans have no right to travel in space. He said we are too primitive to join this council. Then he murdered our people to prove his point." The chamber filled with whispers and strange alien sounds. Lisa hoped this meant they were shocked by what they saw. She waited for someone to demand justice. Instead, a new platform floated forward. On it sat General Korath, the Vexhai representative. He was larger than Captain Zethkar with darker scales and cold yellow eyes. When he spoke, his voice was calm and smooth. "Honored Speaker, the Vexhai Empire regrets this unfortunate incident. However, the human version of events is not accurate. Our sensors show that the human vessels were broadcasting on restricted military frequencies. Captain Zethkar believed they were spy ships." Lisa felt her face grow hot with anger. "That's a lie. We were broadcasting our diplomatic codes on all standard frequencies." General Korath made a sound like laughter. "The humans lack the technology to properly interpret our sensor data. They see what their primitive equipment tells them to see. Nothing more." Amy stepped forward with her tablet. "I have detailed analysis of our sensor logs. There's no evidence of military frequencies. Our broadcasts were clearly diplomatic in nature." The HFY general looked at Amy like she was a child. And what training does this young female have? In advanced sensor technology? How many years has she studied HFY equipment? The insult stung, but Amy kept her voice steady. I may not know your technology, but I know what our instruments recorded. 200 people are dead because your captain chose to kill them. Speaker Thysandra raised one glowing hand. The council will review all evidence. General Korath, what does the HFY Empire propose to resolve this matter? We offer compensation for the damaged vessels, General Korath said. Perhaps some rare metals from our outer worlds. The loss of life, while regrettable, was the result of human error in judgment. Lisa couldn't believe what she was hearing. Human error? Your captain murdered innocent people. But she noticed something that made her heart sink. Many of the alien delegates were nodding in agreement with General Korath. The crystalline beings hummed in harmony. The gas clouds swirled in patterns that Amy had told her meant approval. A new voice spoke from across the chamber. It belonged to Ambassador Vexnan of the Ethereal Collective, a species that looked like golden smoke. The Ethereals must ask why such a young species believes it deserves council membership. Perhaps this incident shows that humans are not ready for galactic society. More voices joined in. The insectoid swarm minds clicked their agreement. The plant-like root singers rustled their leaves in what Lisa now recognized as dismissal. Humans have been spacefaring for less than 400 years, said another delegate. Most species require millennia to develop proper wisdom. Jake stepped forward, his military training taking over. With respect, our age as a species has nothing to do with the fact that innocent people were murdered. Innocent? General Korath made that laughing sound again. Your species still fights wars on its home planet. You destroy your own environment. You create weapons designed only to kill. How innocent can you be? The chamber erupted in alien sounds. Lisa realized with growing horror that they were agreeing with the HFY general. To these ancient species, humans were nothing more than violent children playing with toys they didn't understand. Speaker Thysandra glowed brighter, calling for silence. The council has heard both sides of this dispute. We will investigate the matter thoroughly. How long will this investigation take? Lisa asked. Such matters require careful study, perhaps 50 of your Earth years. 50 years. Lisa felt the words hit her like a physical blow. 50 years? People are dead now. Justice delayed is justice denied. Young species often struggle with patience, Speaker Thysandra said. Her tone was gentle but dismissive. The council operates on cosmic timescales, not the brief lifespans of individual beings. Amy had been quiet, studying her tablet. Now she looked up with alarm in her eyes. Lisa, I've been analyzing the chamber dynamics. Look at the interaction patterns. Amy showed her the screen. It displayed a complex web of relationships between the different species. Certain groups always voted together. Others seemed to follow the lead of the more powerful species. What am I looking at? Lisa whispered. A pattern, Amy said quietly. This has happened before, many times. Young species make complaints. Old species dismiss them. The system protects itself. Jake leaned in close. Are you saying this is normal? I'm saying we're not the first species this has happened to, Amy replied, and we won't be the last. Lisa looked around the chamber with new eyes. These aliens weren't just dismissing human concerns out of ignorance. They were maintaining a system that kept young species powerless, while the established empires did whatever they wanted. Speaker Thysandra was speaking again. The council will consider limited sanctions against the HFY Empire pending our investigation. Perhaps a reduction in trade privileges for 1 solar cycle. 1 year of reduced trade privileges for 200 murdered humans. Lisa felt sick. General, Korath bowed slightly. The HFY Empire accepts this wise judgment. We will cooperate fully with any investigation. He was trying not to smile, but Lisa could see the satisfaction in his yellow eyes. He had gotten away with murder, and everyone in the chamber knew it. The human delegation may return to their homeworld, Speaker Thysandra announced. The council will contact Earth when our investigation is complete. Lisa wanted to scream. She wanted to demand real justice. But she could see it was useless. The decision was already made. The system had spoken. As they walked back to their ship, Jake spoke quietly. They don't care about us at all. No, Lisa agreed. We're nothing to them, less than nothing. Amy was still studying her tablet. Lisa, I need to show you something. Else, the pattern goes back centuries. Dozens of young species have made similar complaints. None of them got justice. What happened to those species? Most of them gave up. They accepted their place in the galactic order. A few disappeared entirely. Lisa stopped walking. Disappeared? No records, no traces, like they never existed. The three humans stood in the corridor of the space station, surrounded by the sounds of 1,000 different alien species going about their business. None of them paid any attention to the small group of mammals from a little blue planet. We need to go home, Lisa said finally. We need to tell Earth what we learned here. What did we learn? Jake asked. Lisa looked back toward the council chambers. That we're completely alone. The Pentagon War Room was completely silent. General Patricia Hayes sat at the head of the long table, her face pale as she watched the recording from the Galactic Council. Around her, the most powerful military leaders on Earth stared at the IA screen in disbelief. Colonel Jake Sullivan finished his report and turned off the video display. The silence stretched on for long seconds. Finally, Admiral Rick Thompson spoke. Let me understand this correctly, the Admiral said slowly. They killed 200 of our people, called it an accident, and the punishment is reduced trade privileges for 1 year? That's correct, sir, Jake replied, and the investigation will take 50 years to complete. General Hayes closed her eyes. She had spent 30 years in the military. She had seen war and peace, victory and defeat, but she had never felt anger like this before. What about the other species Amy mentioned? Asked General Carl Brooks. The ones that disappeared? Jake pulled up another file. Dr. Carter found records of 17 species that made similar complaints over the past 500 years. 12 of them stopped sending diplomatic messages within 50 years. 5 vanished completely from galactic records. The room erupted in angry voices. Officers demanded action. Some wanted to attack the Vexhai immediately. Others suggested withdrawing from galactic politics entirely. General Hayes raised her hand for silence. Where is Ambassador Morgan now? On her way to meet with President Williams, Jake said. She wanted to deliver the news personally. At that moment, the secure communication system activated. President Claire Williams appeared on the main screen. She was sitting in the Oval Office with Lisa Morgan beside her. Both women looked exhausted and furious. General Hayes, the president said without introduction. I assume Colonel Sullivan has briefed you on the situation. Yes, Madam President, what are your orders? President Williams was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was cold as ice. The Galactic Council has made their position clear. Human lives don't matter to them. Our complaints are ignored. Our evidence is dismissed. She paused and looked directly into the camera. They think we're weak. They think we'll accept this treatment and go quietly back to our little corner of space. Madam President, General Hayes said carefully, what exactly are you authorizing? Operation Dark Response, the President said. Full authorization, no limits, no restrictions. The military officers looked at each other with surprise. Operation Dark Response was a theoretical plan that had been discussed, but never approved. It was too dangerous, too extreme. Admiral Thompson leaned forward. Madame President, are you certain? Once we begin, there's no going back. Admiral, they killed our people and laughed about it. The entire galactic government is designed to keep us powerless while stronger species do whatever they want. If we don't act now, they'll keep testing us until they decide we're too troublesome to exist. General Hayes understood. The disappeared species weren't accidents, they were warnings. Get in line or disappear forever. I want Dr. Nathan Price and Dr. Helen Ross brought into the program immediately. The President continued. Give them unlimited resources. Every black project, every theoretical weapon, every piece of technology we've kept hidden. Jake raised his hand. Madam President, what about the diplomatic consequences? Lisa Morgan spoke for the first time. Colonel, there are no diplomatic consequences. The Council made that clear. We're not considered worthy of diplomacy. President Williams nodded. Exactly. They want to treat us like animals? Fine. But they're about to learn that Earth's animals bite back. The meeting ended with specific orders for each officer. Within hours, scientists across Earth received emergency calls. Military bases that officially didn't exist suddenly became very busy. Ships that were supposedly decommissioned began receiving new crews. Dr. Nathan Price was working late in his laboratory when General Hayes arrived. He was a thin man with wild hair, who looked more like a professor than Earth's most dangerous weapons designer. General, I got your message, Dr. Price said. Operation Dark Response is really active? As of 6 hours ago, what do you need? Dr. Price smiled, but it wasn't a happy expression. Time and materials. The quantum disruption weapons are theoretical, but I can make them work. Give me 2 months. You have whatever you need. Dr. Helen Ross was already at work when they found her. She was Earth's leading expert on gravitational physics, and she had been designing weapons that could tear apart planets, not because Earth wanted to destroy worlds, but because they needed to understand how to defend against such attacks. The gravitational manipulation devices are almost ready, Dr. Ross said without looking up from her computer. But General, these weapons are incredibly destructive. They could destabilize entire solar systems. That's the point, Doctor. We want the galaxy to understand exactly what Earth is capable of. The most secret project was hidden on the dark side of the moon. Admiral Thompson took a small shuttle to visit the facility personally. The base was built inside an old mining complex, invisible to any outside observation. Captain Lucas Gray met him at the airlock. Lucas was young for his rank, but he had designed something that terrified even Earth's military leadership. Admiral, welcome to Project Genesis, Lucas said as they walked through the underground corridors. They entered a vast chamber filled with strange machines. In the center was a device that looked like a metallic flower, with thousands of petals. Each petal glowed with contained energy. Explain it to me one more time, Admiral Thompson said. It's a stellar manipulation device, Lucas replied. We can trigger controlled supernovas in any star system. The explosion destroys everything within 50 light years, but it looks completely natural. No one would know it was an attack. Admiral, Thompson stared at the device. How many do we have? 12 prototypes. We can build more if needed. Do it. Build as many as possible. While the scientists worked, military commanders prepared for war. Major Sandra Wells coordinated with Colony, worlds throughout human space. Every farming planet, every mining station, every research outpost began producing weapons and ships. The galaxy saw humans as peaceful farmers and researchers. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for this moment since first contact with alien life. Every human colony was also a military base. Every transport ship could become a warship in hours. Admiral Kate Murphy commanded the hidden fleet. Her ships were disguised as cargo vessels and exploration craft, but they carried weapons that no alien species had ever seen. The fleet had been building in secret for 20 years, waiting for the day when Earth might need to defend itself. Admiral Murphy, General Hayes said over the secure communication link, "Are your ships ready?" "More than ready, General. My crews have been training for this their entire careers." "When do we begin?" "Soon. The President wants to send a message that the galaxy will never forget." Back on Earth, President Williams met with her closest advisors. The weight of what they were planning pressed down on everyone in the room. "Madam President," said Secretary of Defense Ryan Parker, "once we start this, the entire galaxy will see us as a threat. Every species will unite against us." "Ryan, they already see us as a threat," President Williams replied. "That's why they're trying to keep us powerless. The difference is that after this, they'll also see us as dangerous." Lisa, Morgan looked out the window at the peaceful city below. Soon, Earth would no longer be just another world with primitive mammals. Soon the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of when pushed too far. "How long until everything is ready?" the President asked. General Hayes checked her tablet. "Dr. Price says 2 months for the quantum weapons. Dr. Ross needs 6 weeks for the gravitational devices. Admiral Murphy's fleet is operational now. And the Genesis devices? Captain Gray says they can be deployed in 1 month. President Williams nodded slowly. Then in 2 months, the Vex High Empire will discover what a real navigation error looks like. Captain Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship watching the stars ahead. His massive fleet of 500 warships moved through space like a dark cloud. Today, he would teach the humans their final lesson. 6 months had passed since the diplomatic incident. The Galactic Council had given the Vex High a small punishment, but Captain Zethkar knew it was just for show. No one really cared about dead humans. Now it was time to finish what he had started. Captain, his second officer reported, "We are approaching the human colony world of New Geneva. Our sensors show only farming settlements and research stations." Captain, Zethkar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Perfect. Weak mammals playing in the dirt. After we destroy this world, Earth will understand that humans have no place among the stars." The Vex High fleet dropped out of hyperspace near New Geneva. The planet looked peaceful from orbit. Green fields covered most of the surface. Small cities dotted the continents. It seemed like an easy target. "Begin the attack," Captain Zethkar ordered. "Destroy everything." But something was wrong. As the Vex High ships moved toward the planet, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Human ships were rising from the surface and emerging from behind the planet's moons. "Sir," the sensor operator said nervously, "I count 40 human vessels. They appear to be military ships." Captain Zethkar laughed. 40 ships against 500? The mammals are even more stupid than I thought. The human fleet was led by Admiral Kate Murphy aboard her flagship, the Earth vessel Retribution. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes burned with cold fury. She had been waiting for this moment for months. "All ships, this is Admiral Murphy," she spoke into her radio. "Remember what they did to our people. Remember the Council's insult. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you murder humans." The Vex High fleet opened fire first. Red energy beams shot through space toward the human ships. Captain Zethkar expected to see explosions and wreckage, just like 6 months ago. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ships seemed to fade out of normal space. The energy beams passed right through them without causing any damage. "What is happening?" Captain Zethkar demanded. "The human ships are using some kind of phase technology," his science officer reported. "They're shifting between dimensions. Our weapons can't hit them." The human ships reappeared in normal space, but now they were spread throughout the Vex High fleet. Captain Troy Bennett commanded a squadron of 12 ships that materialized right next to a group of Vex High destroyers. "Fire quantum disruptors," Captain Bennett ordered. Blue beams shot from the human ships. When they hit the Vex High vessels, the alien ships didn't just explode. They came apart at the molecular level, dissolving into clouds of atoms. Entire warships simply stopped existing. Captain Zethkar watched in horror as 20 of his ships vanished in seconds. "All vessels target the human ships. Fire everything." But the humans were no longer where they appeared to be. The phase technology let them attack from impossible angles. They would appear, destroy several ships, then vanish before the Vex High could return fire. Admiral Murphy's ship targeted the largest Vex High battleships. "Deploy gravitational weapons," she commanded. Strange devices launched from the human ships. They looked like small metal spheres, but when they activated near the alien vessel's space itself began to twist and bend. The massive Vex High ships were crushed like tin cans. Some were stretched so thin they looked like ribbons before breaking apart. "This is impossible," Captain Zethkar screamed. "Humans don't have this technology." His fleet was being destroyed piece by piece. The human ships moved like hunters, picking off their prey with deadly precision. Every few minutes, more Vex High vessels turned into clouds of debris. Captain Bennett's squadron had eliminated their targets and was looking for more. "Admiral, requesting permission to pursue fleeing vessels." "Permission granted," Admiral Murphy replied. "No survivors, no witnesses." The Vex High ships that tried to escape found that the humans were faster. The phase technology let the human vessels jump instantly to any location. Fleeing enemies were caught and destroyed before they could reach hyperspace. On his flagship, Captain Zethkar realized his fleet was doomed. Half his ships were already gone. The rest were trapped in a battle they couldn't win. Send a message. To the Vexhai homeworld, he ordered desperately. Tell them the humans have impossible weapons. Warn them to prepare defenses. But before the message could be sent, the retribution appeared directly in front of his flagship. Admiral Murphy's face appeared on his communication screen. Her expression was cold as ice. Captain Zethkar, she said calmly, do you remember what you told our ambassador? You called the murder of our people a navigation error. Please, Captain. Zethkar begged. We can negotiate. The Vexhai Empire will pay compensation. Too late for that, Admiral Murphy replied. But don't worry. This won't be murder. This will be a navigation error too. The retribution fired a single gravitational pulse. Captain Zethkar's flagship was crushed into a ball of twisted metal in less than a second. The proud Vexhai captain died without understanding how completely he had underestimated humanity. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, 500 Vexhai warships had been reduced to floating debris. Not a single human ship was damaged, but Admiral Murphy wasn't finished. She opened a communication channel to the Vexhai homeworld. The alien government leaders appeared on screen, their yellow eyes wide with fear. This is Admiral Kate Murphy, of the Earth Defense Force, she announced. Your fleet has suffered a navigation error. All 500 ships have been lost. Please be more careful in the future. The Vexhai leaders started to speak, but Admiral Murphy cut them off. You have 24 hours to surrender all military installations in this sector. Any Vexhai warship found in space after that time will experience another navigation error. The communication ended. The human fleet began moving toward the next Vexhai system. Colonel Alex Parker had been waiting on the surface of New Geneva with his ground forces. His soldiers wore power armor that made them look like metal giants. Each suit was equipped with weapons that could level buildings. Colonel, Admiral Murphy's voice came through his radio. The space battle is over. You're clear to begin ground operations. Understood, Admiral. Moving out now. The human ground forces launched toward the Vexhai military bases on nearby worlds. Their ships were fast and silent. The Vexhai defenders never saw them coming. The first base fell in minutes. The human soldiers moved through the facility like ghosts, disabling weapons and capturing equipment. Any Vexhai who resisted were stunned unconscious. The humans didn't want to kill unless necessary, but they left no doubt about who was in control. Base after base fell to the human assault teams. Within hours, the entire Vexhai military presence in 3 star systems had been eliminated. The reptilian empire that had seemed so powerful was left helpless and defenseless. But the humans had made their point. They sent one final message to the Vexhai government. Your military forces have been removed from contested space, Colonel Parker announced. Your weapons have been confiscated, your bases have been shut down. This is what a real navigation error looks like. The message was broadcast not just to the Vexhai, but to every species in the galaxy. Within hours, the news spread across thousands of worlds. The humans had done the impossible. They had destroyed an entire Imperial fleet without losing a single ship. In the Galactic Council chambers, Speaker Thysiandra received the battle reports with growing alarm. The energy patterns around her flickered with what might have been fear. How is this possible? She asked her advisors. The humans were supposed to be primitive mammals. Where did they get such weapons? No one had an answer. The humans had hidden their true capabilities perfectly. For decades, they had appeared weak and peaceful while secretly building the most advanced military force the galaxy had ever seen. As news of the battle spread, other species began to ask uncomfortable questions. If the humans could destroy the Vexhai so easily, what else were they capable of? And more importantly, which species might be their next target? The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in its 1,000-year history. Speaker Thysiandra floated at the center of the chamber, her energy form flickering with patterns that showed deep concern. Around her, representatives from dozens of species filled every platform and viewing area. The main display showed the aftermath of the Vexhai defeat. Debris fields where 500 warships used to be. Empty military bases across 3 star systems. An entire galactic empire reduced to helplessness in less than a day. Ambassador Lisa Morgan stood on the human platform once again. But this time, the chamber was completely silent when she began to speak. Every alien eye was focused on her with a mixture of fear and respect. "Honored speaker and members of the council," Lisa said calmly. "3 months ago, I stood in this chamber and asked for justice. 200 humans had been murdered in an unprovoked attack. The council offered us a 50-year investigation and reduced trade privileges for the attackers." She paused and looked around the chamber. Many of the same delegates who had dismissed her before now refused to meet her eyes. "Today I return with a simple message. The investigation is complete. Justice has been served." General Korath, the Vexhai representative, rose from his platform. The large reptilian scales had lost their dark color. He looked sick and frightened. "The humans have committed an act of genocide," he declared. "They destroyed an entire fleet. They attacked civilian populations." Lisa turned to face him directly. "General Korath, how many Vexhai civilians were killed in our response?" The chamber waited for his answer. General Korath opened his mouth, then closed it again. Finally, he spoke in a quiet voice. "None. But you destroyed our military forces. Completely." "Yes, we did," Lisa agreed. "Just like your Captain Zethkar destroyed our escort ships. The difference is that we didn't kill anyone who wasn't shooting at us. Your captain murdered diplomats and their crews in cold blood." Dr. Amy Carter stepped forward with her research tablet. Over the past months, she had been very busy gathering information about the galactic power structure. "I have something else to share with the Council," Amy announced. "During our investigation, we discovered that the attack on our diplomatic mission was not an isolated incident." The main display changed to show a long list of species names and dates. The list went back over 500 years. "These are the young species that have brought complaints to this council over the past 5 centuries," Amy continued. 47 different civilizations reported unprovoked attacks, territorial seizures, or systematic oppression by older, more established species. Speaker Thysandra's energy pattern shifted to what Lisa now recognized as nervousness. "Dr. Carter, what is the purpose of this historical review?" "To show that the Council has been allowing these attacks for centuries," Amy replied. "Young species are systematically suppressed to maintain the current power structure. 17 of these species stopped communicating with the galaxy entirely. We believe they were destroyed." The chamber erupted in alien sounds. Some species denied the accusations. Others demanded to know how the humans had obtained this classified information. A few, Lisa noticed, remained completely silent. Amy activated another display. "We also found evidence of a secret agreement between the major powers. They take turns suppressing young species to prevent any challenge to their authority. The Vexhai attack on us was part of this pattern. Ambassador Vexnan of the Ethereal Collective, the golden smoke being who had questioned humanity's readiness months earlier, spoke with a trembling voice. "These are serious accusations. Do you have proof?" "We have intercepted communications between your government and 12 other species," Amy replied calmly, "all discussing how to manage the human problem before we became too advanced." The chamber fell silent. The proof was overwhelming. For centuries, the Galactic Council had been a front for systematic oppression of younger civilizations. President Claire Williams appeared on the communication screen. Her image was transmitted directly from Earth to the Council chambers. Behind her stood General Hayes, Admiral Thompson, and other military leaders. "Members of the Galactic Council," President Williams began, "the evidence shows that this body has failed in its most basic purpose. Instead of maintaining peace, you have enabled the strong to prey upon the weak." Speaker Thysandra tried to regain control. "President Williams, surely we can resolve these issues through diplomatic means. Violence is not the answer." "I agree," President Williams replied. "Violence should not be necessary. But you made it necessary when you ignored our pleas for justice." Paused and looked directly at each major species representative in turn. The question now is what happens next? General Hayes stepped forward. We have identified the 12 species involved in the conspiracy against younger civilizations. Our fleet is currently positioned outside all of their home systems. The alien delegates began making sounds of alarm. The crystalline beings' harmonies became discordant. The gas cloud swirled in panicked patterns. Are you threatening us? Demanded Ambassador Krexthul of the Insectoid Collective. I'm offering you a choice. President Williams answered. Reform this council and establish real protections for developing species, or face the same justice we gave to the Vexhai Empire. Admiral Thompson appeared beside the president. Our Genesis devices are in position around 47 star systems. Each device is capable of causing a controlled supernova. The explosions would look completely natural to any outside observer. The chamber descended into chaos. Representatives screamed accusations and demands. Some called for immediate war against humanity. Others begged for mercy. Speaker Thysaandra raised her hands for silence. When the chamber finally quieted, she spoke in a voice that seemed to have aged 1,000 years. What exactly are humanity's demands? Lisa stepped forward again. The council will be reformed with equal representation for all species, regardless of age or technological level. A new charter will establish the right of all sapient beings to exist without fear of unprovoked aggression. Most importantly, there will be real consequences for species that attack others without cause. And if we refuse? Asked Ambassador Vexnan. President Williams' image smiled, but it was not a warm expression. Then the galaxy will learn that humans are very good at permanent solutions to recurring problems. The vote was held immediately. Every species present voted to accept humanity's demands. The decision was unanimous, though many voted with obvious reluctance. But Lisa knew the real change had already happened. The galaxy now understood that Earth would not tolerate the systematic oppression of any species. The older civilizations could no longer assume that youth meant weakness. General Korath requested permission to speak one final time. The Vexhai representative looked defeated and broken. I must ask, he said quietly, what happens to my people now? Our military is destroyed. We are defenseless. Lisa looked at him with something that might have been pity. General, your people will be left alone as long as they leave others alone. The Vexhai Empire can continue to exist, but it will never, again, attack species that cannot defend themselves. And if we try to rebuild our military, then you will discover that Earth has very long memories and very accurate targeting systems. The session ended with the signing of the new Galactic Charter. Every species representative put their mark on the document that established protections for developing civilizations and created real penalties for unprovoked aggression. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, many of them glanced nervously at the human delegation. Lisa could see the calculations in their eyes. How many other hidden capabilities did humanity possess? What other surprises were waiting to be revealed? Dr. Carter was reviewing her notes when she noticed something interesting. Lisa, look at this communication pattern from the root singers. They're not afraid of us. What do you mean? They're grateful. They were one of the species being oppressed by the conspiracy. They see us as liberators, not conquerors. Lisa realized that Amy was right. Not every species in the galaxy had been part of the conspiracy. Many had been victims just like humanity. The brutal response had freed them too. As they prepared to return to Earth, Jake Sullivan joined them on the observation deck. He was looking out at the stars with a thoughtful expression. Do you think we did the right thing? He asked. Lisa considered the question carefully. Jake, 200 of our people died because this galaxy's power structure demanded that young species be kept weak and afraid. How many others died over the centuries for the same reason? Thousands, Amy said quietly. Maybe millions. Then yes, Lisa concluded, we did the right thing. Sometimes the only way to stop a bully is to hit back so hard that everyone else gets the message too. The human delegation returned to Earth as heroes. But they knew their real work was just beginning. The galaxy had been changed forever, but maintaining that change would require constant vigilance. President Williams addressed the planet in a broadcast that was also transmitted to every world in the galaxy. Today we have established that no species has the right to prey upon others simply because they are young or weak. The galaxy is now a place where all sapient beings can develop and grow without fear. This is not just humanity's victory. This is a victory for justice itself.